Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my series check-in for, is it winter, spring? Spring, it must be spring. So my wrap up of the last 3 months and my TBR for the next 3 months in terms of my series and the progress that I would like to make on them. So it feels like it's been ages since I filmed one of these videos, like absolutely ages, because I didn't do one at the end of December, January. At the end of December, I did like a whole yearly series wrap up, but I didn't do my normal series check-in. So it's been like 6 months since I've done one of these. We'll just wrap up how I've been doing for these past 3 months and then some of my plans and going forward. So I would say I have had a relatively successful first 3 months of 2024 in terms of my series and my reading, that I have been finishing series. I have started a few series, but then I've been working on those series. It's been like good progress. It's been good and steady progress with my series. I mean, obviously there's definitely more that I could be doing with my series to continue to read down the number of ongoing series that I have, but I feel as though the number's in a relatively good place, and a lot of them I am either at the point of waiting for the next release, or I need to restart them from the beginning, and I'm holding off doing that until like the series are complete. But relatively successful, right? I do have 2 series that I have completed and one that I've sort of completed, sort of, but not. The 2 series that I have completed, so in the month of January, which is when I was productive, I finished the Skyward series by reading Defiant, the 4th book in this series, or the 5th book if you include the short stories. So I did intend to finish this in December and have it as like it would have been my 10th series finished. It didn't happen, so it ended up being read in January, which is absolutely fine because now it counts towards this year and we can just forget that I only finished 9 series last year. Only, like, 9 is still good. It's not a round number. So wrapped up this sci-fi series. I enjoyed this. Definitely a return to like the enjoyment levels that I had in like the second one. I would say Skyward, the first book, is still above the rest. Like, I'd say it goes Skyward, Starsight, then this one, then probably the short stories, then Cytonic, which was just, we just don't talk about Cytonic. But I enjoyed this. I was very satisfied with the way that this wrapped up, and yeah, enjoyed this whole series as a whole, with Skyward being the best. Then I also wrapped up the Crescent City series. So I reread books 1 and 2 in January, and then got to this 3rd book in February. And I've technically finished the Crescent City series, but I know there's going to be spin-offs in this world because there are so many things that are left open, so many things left open. So it is finished, but it's finished with a but, because I know we're going to be going back to this. Mostly enjoyed this one. Some mixed thoughts. Some things I feel as though could have been a bit more satisfying. Some bits I feel like could have been adapted a little bit, but mostly satisfied with this. It was fun. I had a fun time. For the most part. So wrapped up this series, and it was a lot of fun doing the reread. I mean, the first book in this series is one of my favourites. The second, 2 and 3, I have a lot of faults with, but the first book was so fun to reread. Such a fun reread. Happy to have like wrapped this up, and we'll see what she comes out with next. And now the sort of like half, well, not really finished, is I put down for now Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. So this is the 3rd book in the Empire of the Wolf series, and I have talked about how I've struggled with this. And for right now, I am just putting this down and marking it as sort of like done for now. Maybe I'll come back to it at a future time, I don't know. But I've put this on the shelf with my read books and with the rest of the series, and I've just put it there for now. And that's where it's staying. Even though it's got the bookmark in it, and I know that I'm only 200 pages in, it's just, I haven't had the desire to come back to it. I struggled through those 200 pages, which I've spoken about in, I can't remember if it was in a TBR or in a wrap up, but because of those struggles, I'm just gonna sort of mark it as like done for now. So those are everything that I have sort of wrapped up, and that's why I said 2.5, because it's like not quite, but wrapped up, finished, drawing a line under those series. In terms of continuations, I have continued in 1.5 series. Oh, the numbers aren't adding up here today. So I continued in I don't even know what this series is called. A Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker, that series. So this is a third book, A Queen of Thieves and Chaos. I read 1 and 2 last year. Now I am up to date because the fourth and final book in this series comes out later on in the summer, I believe. So this was just getting up to date with it. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this quite a lot. I really like this one. I've very recently finished it. I would recommend this fantasy romance series if fantasy romance is your thing. I feel as though it's managed to maintain my interest through the rest of the series. Sometimes I feel as though fantasy romances can like drop off after book 1. Book 2 I do think was a lot of travelling and was probably a middle book syndrome book, but book 3 was like a return to force as well for this one. So I enjoyed this and now up to date, which is always positive to be up to date on something. So up to date on this series. And then my like 1.5 is that I wasn't really counting this as a series. It is set in the same world as a book that I've read before, and it does follow some of the same characters, but I'd never listed this series as a series. I listed it as a standalone. But I am currently reading Mysteries of Thorn Manor. I still have a week of March left, so this is going to be done in this quarter, and I have like 30 pages left, so I'm very close to the end. I guess I've continued in this series, but I never really counted it as a series. And now moving on to the series that I have started, because I have definitely been starting some series. So I started Feybound by Zara L. Arifi. This is the first book in, I don't know if it's called the Feybound series, but I read this one. I'm up to date on it because it is the only one out. This only came out in January, and I do plan to continue on when the sequels come out, but that's probably not going to be for ages. I know the third book in her other series is coming out this year, so I feel as though that's enough. I mean, that's more than enough for an author to release 2 books a year. Up to date on this, will continue on. Enjoyed it. I think that's what I really have to say. Also, if you do want any of my thoughts or full thoughts on any of these books, then those will be included in my monthly wrap-ups. So I will link my monthly wrap-ups down below as well, so you can find my full thoughts there. I also started Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. This is the first book in is it the Imperium cycle or something along those lines? I've read this and I didn't gel with it. I was okay with it. I found it fine, and I do not plan to continue on with the series. I'm very sad about it. I'm a bit like, it feels weird to me that I'm not continuing on with the series because I thought I was going to love it. I thought this was going to be like easy peasy, definitely continue on, but I'm not. So started this series and not continuing. And then I have 3 series that I am continuing on with. So the first one being the Veronica Speedwell series. So I've read the first 3 books in this first quarter of 2024. There's 8 books or 9 books out now because a book has recently just come out in this series, and I have been ordering them. I'm waiting for the rest of the series to arrive. I think I've ordered a lot now. I've been really enjoying reading this like historical mystery with a romantic subplot series, and yeah, I've been finding this really fun. I guess in these are also going into my plans because I have read it and I did start this series and I did read 3 of them, but I will be in my TBR planning to read some more of this world and series in the next quarter. I don't think I would get up to date on it. That is not the plan at all for the next quarter. The plan would be to read maybe 2 more, so read books 4 and 5 of this would be an idea, and then I'm just slowly making my way through this as like 1 a month roughly, so maybe 4, 5 and 6 if that's the logic, but definitely plan to continue on with this, and has been a great highlight of my first quarter of 2024. I read Daughter of No World as well as Children of Fallen Gods, the first 2 books in the War of Lost Hearts series by Carissa Broadbent, which is a fantasy romance series following an ex-slave as she trains to use her magic and escapes her past and the love interest that she meets along the way, and lots of magic, lots of wars, lots of drama. I'd say the fantasy elements in this are much stronger than the romantic elements actually. Definitely the fantasy romance if you are a fantasy reader. But yes, I read the first 2 books in this quarter in March, pretty much back to back, binged those whilst on holiday. I do have the 3rd book, Mother of Death and Dawn, to read. So this is in the plans for the next quarter for me to read this one and finish off the series, and I assume this is going to stick the landing. I feel like I've only seen good things about this conclusion to the series, so really looking forward to diving into this and how it's going to end. And then the final series that I started in this quarter, and then I do definitely have plans to continue it in the next quarter, is Blackthorn and Grimm. So the first book being Dreamer's Pool by Juliette Marillier. I loved this. I really, really loved this. I cannot stop thinking about this book because I loved it so much. It's hard to say why, but I did. I knew I liked Juliette Marillier anyway because I loved The Daughter of the Forest in that series. So I knew I liked her writing style, but there's just something about it. Like, it's so slow. There's so much exposition, but I'm hooked and I'm like flying through it. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm flying through this book because it's really slow and there's not loads happening. But I love this. Very fairy tale-esque island setting, and I don't know, it just really works for me. So I would really like to continue on with this series and read books 2 and 3. Then who knows what I'm going to read next from Juliette Marillier. Well, after I finish this series, I do need to go back to the Seven Waters series, so Daughter of the Forest, and there's like a spin-off series there, 4, 5 and 6. It's just the editions of that do not match the editions that I have for the first 3, so it's really hard to find like a matching set. I've resigned myself to being in mass market paperbacks for this, but at least they're all going to match. They're all going to be mass market paperbacks. And then she has like some other books out as well, so don't know. But working my way through this, and it's been a hit. It's been a big hit. So that's everything that I've started, as well as some of the plans that I would like to do in terms of continuing on with the series that I have started in this quarter. Aside from that, I do have some other series that I did not start this quarter that I would like to continue on with, and well, I think these will all continue on with. They're not finished, but continue on with. So I would like to continue on with the Final Strife series. So this is the second book being The Battle Drum. It does have another name. I think it's like the Ending Fire, potentially, series. So I would like to continue on with this series and read the sequel so that I could get up to date. I don't think the third book's coming out until later on this year, maybe it's September time. That one's coming out, but at least if I can get up to date on it. It's now been a good few months since I read that first one, so I've been trying to like hold off reading this so I could read it in between reading that first book and the third book coming out. Would like to get to this. I've heard really good things about it and excited to get into it. Update on this. I did already read this in the final week of March, so you can see my full thoughts in my March wrap up, but it has now already been read, so success there, and I guess this actually should have been in wrap up. And then another sequel that I've had on my TBR for quite a long time that I have spoken about in my April TBR. It's my the big aim for April is to read this book, and that is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, the 4th book in the Stormlight Archive. So it's been a little while since I have worked on this series. It's been since January 2023 since I worked on this series, so it's been a good while. It's been a very good while since I made any progress in the Stormlight Archive, but I feel as though now is the time. I feel as though enough time has passed. I can dedicate a month to reading one book potentially. I'm excited to get back into this world, excited to sort of be back with these characters, see them again, experience everything that they're going through, and get back into this behemoth. And then I would actually be ready for when book 5 comes out in November, December time. I would be ready for that. I don't know if I'd read it straight away, but in theory, I would be ready to read it on release. And I would be almost up to date with the Storm, with the Cosmere. I've got a couple of secret projects I've not read, but I'd be pretty much up to date with the Cosmere once I get through this. I think it's just Sunlit Man that I won't have read if I read this. And some of the short stories. And yeah, some of the short stories. But I think I've read everything else. Somehow. So I do need to get to this. This is like one of my big plans. Otherwise, it's been on like a couple of TBRs right now. I would like to reread the Atlas 6 and then finish off the series. So I do have the Atlas Paradox and the Atlas Complex. So I would like to read this series and like finish it and yeah, get back into this. It just hasn't happened. But I would like to do that. I would. I don't know when. Hopefully this quarter I could at least start this, because I've been planning to start my reread for ages and then I just keep getting distracted by other things. But I would like to read this. And then the final series that I would like to potentially continue on in is the Guild series by Raven Kennedy. So the 5th book in that series, Gold, it came out last year in hardback. I have the whole series in paperback, so I have to wait until the paperback releases, and that paperback releases in June, so like mid-June. So it's hard to predict exactly what I'm going to read in June when I'm filming this in March, but as an idea, I could read that in June. I could read that in June and get up to date in that series. I mean, I'd only be up to date for like a couple of weeks, I think, because then the 6th book comes out in hardback in the summer, but I refuse to buy those hardbacks and I will wait for the paperback. But yes, I would like to continue on with that series. And then I haven't really put much on here in terms of starting series. I feel as though I have started a few in the first quarter. You know, Daughter of No Worlds, Dreamer's Pool, Veronica Speedwell. I feel as though there are 3 good series that I've started this year, and I'm really enjoying them, and I'd like to continue working on those series. I want to be in a good place where I'm starting things and then I'm reading them consistently, which is what I have been doing, and I just want to keep up with that consistency and reading completed series. I mean, I know Veronica Speedwell is not completed, I don't think, but there's 9 books out, so I've got like enough to keep me busy for a little while. But otherwise, Daughter of No Worlds and Dreamer's Pool are both completed series. I would like to, once I've worked through them, potentially continue on with working on completed series and not starting things that are incomplete. There are definitely books that call to me, like The Will of the Many just is very, very loud, very, very loud, but I keep telling it no. I keep having to like tell it off and tell it to be quiet, because I definitely have some like older series or first books in series on my TBR, which I would like to get to. And then I can like know if I like them and know if I should buy the 2nd and 3rd one, or however many books in that series. And I would like to be binging my series more, or at least reading them consistently and not spending ages between releases. One of them where I do actually already own the whole series, and so definitely would like to give it a try. If I like the first book, then great, I can read 2 and 3. If I don't, then I can unhaul the lot. But that would be The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell, the first book in the Warlord Chronicles. So I would like to get to this as like something a little bit different. Again, a mass market paperback, but I didn't mind reading Dreamer's Pool in a mass market paperback. It was quite practical having a book that was so small that I could like fit into small bags. As an idea, I'm sure the spine is going to be a disaster on this book, but I'll make it work. I'll make it work. That's an idea of something to start. Maybe once I've like worked my way through some of this pile of things that I would like to continue on with and finish. Though that's definitely going to be the priority, is continuing and finishing things ahead of starting anything new. As I am a mood reader as well, then who knows what else could come along where I'm like, oh, I would like to read that. That could be a nice entry into my reading. I'm not doing very well with reading my physical TBR this year. I just keep buying books. I just keep buying things. We'll see how that all goes, but I'm having fun. And I think that's the important thing, that I'm enjoying what I'm reading, that I'm having a really good reading year so far, touch wood, that continues, and that I continue loving what I'm reading for the most part, and that everything, lots of successes, following the mood, following the things that I am excited about. So positivity. Okay, so that is all of my wrap up and TBR for the next 3 months. Let me know how your series reading has been going, if you've been good at wrapping things up, or if you've just been starting all the things, because it's so easy to start all of the things in the beginning of the year when you feel like you've got all this time ahead of you and you can just start everything. And if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I am planning to read. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!